All right, everybody, let's get into episode number 2 of the Airborne Podcast. We have our first guest with us, Lewis Irving, two-time Olympian, Olympic bronze medalist, multiple world championships, and obviously one of our best friends growing up. I've known you since how long? Lewis, when did I meet you?
What was it, like 2013 when we probably
like that.
showed
Yeah,
up?
probably
first?
12 or
like
13
12 or
years
13
old.
where we actually started like battling it out on the NORAM tour.
Which is like, I think it's hilarious when you for you and I when we go through our career, because Lewis and I met each other when we were about 13. You were 14 or 15.
Yeah, a couple years more.
And we were both terrible. It's so bad. And just to go from that place to competing with each other in the Olympics, I think that's always brewed that homie.
I mean,
vibe.
for me, one of the standout points of my career is when you, Justin, and I did that North American sweep in Belarus, and then to kind of repeat that at the games, to be on the podium with you guys, it was like, oh, this is another special moment, right? Like, this is cool.
Well, and bringing Quinn into that, he just joined the tour in the last couple of years, and now coming into the crew and seeing, there was a long time on tour where maybe there was only a few good Americans, and Lewis was really holding it down for Team Canada. We were Team North America.
That's what we call it for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously, the huge thing we want to get into with you, Lewis, is last year you took one of the gnarliest crashes that anybody could possibly take in the sport. And not just gnarly visually, you absolutely crushed yourself. So you want to get into that? I mean, you hurt your leg. What happened?
Yeah, so I mean, Deer Valley last year. Deer Valley has definitely been a site that has been a little troublesome for me. Hip in 2017, and then this snapped my femur last year on a lay full. So basic trick, something we warm up with every day on the triple kicker.
Warming up with a 60-foot triple backflip, but basic as it gets.
Basic as it gets for
the only way you can get more basic is lay tuck full, and those are for people that are starting off their first year of triples.
Yep. I mean, I'll probably rock a couple lay tuck fulls this year.
Yeah, coming off an injury. But
so here so I came into the kicker. First jump of the day went well, and then the second jump I kind of caught a little edge right before the jump. So for anyone familiar with skiing, catching an edge is the famous snow snake that everyone's already felt at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, I felt it a few times myself.
So yeah, caught the snow snake and then just lost balance backwards, and you're coming off a 4.5 meter high kicker going 70 kilometers an hour. So any weight going backwards will make you flip faster. And I did 3.5 flips to my head, cracked 3 ribs, snapped my femur in half, ended up getting surgery at the Utah hospital.
Sliced your face too
Sliced
somehow
my
with
face,
the ski.
right? Yeah, we don't even know what this.
It was so you were telling me the ski whipped into you or something like that.
I mean, that's what I'm assuming, just based off how I kind of dove into the hill and where my leg was, and this leg snapping. So we just assumed that, and my left ski was off, so we're like, maybe this is what came down. But yeah, had the surgery, which went really well. Super thankful for that. That obviously we're not trying to get injured anywhere, but if I'm trying to get injured in one place, I'm trying to get injured somewhere with proper hospital,
somewhere in Quebec or in Deer Valley, like Western medicine. People.
Western medicine, that's what we're going. That's what we're aiming for. So that was a process, but luckily I had great team around me, as doctors, everything, but also my teammates were huge, and just kind of being there for the whole coming back home part and everything. And
I remember seeing a clip of you walking in the hospital. Was it the next day or was it 2 days?
No, it was an hour after surgery.
Well, and the thing that always starts is the amount of resilience that people show sometimes. We worry about these crashes, right, all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of our sport. We know they exist, right? We're not gonna pretend that these kind of things aren't part of the crazy game we play.
But you're never done. You know what I mean? It might take some time. And you've definitely dealt with a lot of that over your career, where you've had some time consuming rehab, but time, pain, effort, and
but that's just what makes it that much more gratifying when you come back, right? When you're able to work through that. So I spent a good 6 months post-surgery in the gym back home, just grinding. I remember 10 days after surgery going to see the doc in Quebec City, the team doc that was going to kind of take over for the whole rehab process of it and work with my strength coach. And like we did x-rays as soon as I got back, and he could already see that like my bone was starting to mend, and he was like, dude, this is crazy. Like you're healing so fast. And then from there, he kind of just gave me the green light to be like, whatever you can handle pain wise, go. Like he's like,
well, and the way you put it to me, and we're always FaceTiming and talking throughout these rehabs from across, just like seeing how it's going.
I mean, that's what we need to be doing.
You got a metal rod in your leg, so it's like, hey, it's strong, and so it's a pain tolerance of what can you handle, because like you're not gonna break that metal rod in your leg.
I mean, I would hope not, man, because.
And you still have that titanium rod in your leg.
Yeah,
right?
so the plan is to jump with it this year. Hopefully it's fine and I feel comfortable, which right now hasn't been an issue. And then get back home after the season, get that thing taken out, and then just go back to the summer training, back to the routine.
So let me ask you, how does it feel being back in Ruka? You guys just got here 2 days ago, first 2 days of singles. What are you thinking? How's it feeling being back on snow?
Yeah, like,
with
do you feel
the
normal
World Cup
or
tour?
do you feel different?
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like I had a way shorter summer than what I've ever had in the past. I still got up to tricks that I feel like I'm comfortable with for the season, quad twisting triples, which I think like, unless you guys decide to rip nasty fives and beat it, I'll tip my hat to it. But other than that, I feel comfortable in my abilities to get on the podium. But yeah, that being said, it definitely didn't feel the same coming into Ruka here as it has in the past. Like this is my 8th year here, I think. So I know what to expect. I know this place. It's normal, feels like home almost kind of thing. But no, there was definitely, before my first jump this year, I was up there and I was like, oh, wait a minute, boys. I'm a little more stressed out.
Well, and if I can take you back to like one moment, we always, when you're coming off from injury, if you're lucky in the seasons lineup, you're able to get back on water, right?
Yeah, and so that was one thing that I was super lucky and super happy about, is that my rehab kind of fit perfectly with being able to actually get summer training. Because I was at a point where I'm like, if I can't get proper jumps off in the summer, I don't know if I really feel comfortable just going to snow and ripping. Like
I don't even think it's from an acrobatic standpoint.
Oh no,
it's from I need to put some pressure on my leg.
Yeah, I need I need to do
up.
these tricks again, and like I need to. My body needs to go through the paces, like that's to be put through the work.
And just the mental confidence too. There's when you go 6, 10, 12 months without doing those repetitions, when you come back, even when we take a month off between water ramping and snow, it's like, all right, hopefully I remember how to do this. Like,
there's a big leap of faith that we all take. It's like that first jump of the year, like, all right, I'm pretty sure I know how to do this, but I'm really not going to know until I turn my feet.
Until I do it, right? Yeah. And that's something I was really nervous for my first single, which was kind of weird considering it's just a backflip, right? And one of my teammates, Victor, he was like the perfect sentence for what I needed to hear at that point. He was just like, Lewis, when you're in the park ripping flat spins or whatever, you don't think about it. You just go do it. It's fine. He's like, it's the same thing here. Just go do a backflip. You'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm overthinking this. Like this is, and yeah, so I've done 2 days now here in Ruka. I'll probably do another day of singles before kind of moving on to the double and seeing where we're at. But right now, everything feels good. Super excited to just.
Well, and I wanted to take you back to one moment in the summer that I think really was it was scary. It was cool, and I think you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. It was right as you were getting up to the triple backflips on the water ramp again. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're, I don't know exactly, cut first handful of reps.
Right.
And you caught a small edge, very, very similar to the one that you hurt yourself on in the summer. And you handled it perfectly, right? But then I saw you out of the pool, like, big deep breaths and just getting that like Vietnam flashback.
Thinking about it right now.
And one thing that I said to you, and I think this really speaks to me because, myself, I have smoked a kicker or two in my day. And luckily I came out with it, not as banged up as you, but it's something I'm like, well, Lewis, you've been jumping for a decade. You've caught so many edges, and 99.99% of the time you were able to handle it, do the trick, and make it out.
Yep.
This one didn't go your way.
Yep.
Now you're back. But just like for me, I always am like, all right, well, I'm going to lean on that. The 99.9%.
Oh, exactly. And obviously when that happened, I wasn't thinking about the 99%. But as soon as you told me that, I remember, and I still like, it's so vivid still. It's like, yep, Chris is 100% right now. I take a little step back here, relax. Like, trust your skills, trust what you've built back, and just go through the motions again. Like, don't.
Yeah, you've done it for how many years now?
Yeah, this is year 13, 14. This is year 14.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think this is my 14th year on an air site this year.
Yep.
And, it never gets old. It never gets less scary. But I guess the memories grow, right? So you think back to some memories and you're like, okay, well, I want to avoid that and I want to avoid that. But I guess at the same time, you just got to like rely on the majority of the jumps that you've done.
What you've done. Like, what's...
And like you said, like you build the experience from those past years
Right.
and you rely on that experience. And I bet when you caught that edge, you just instinct.
Came back, right? Yeah. But that being said, first day back on the single, one of the Japanese girls was in front of me, and she caught an edge and decided to turn and not hit the jump. And I was like, you know what? I need a minute here. And I like skied down, went to talk to my coach for a second, and realized that I'm fine. I just need a second to like really feel what just happened and go back and like.
Well, and I got a question for both of you. Because, like, when you're doing extreme sports, right, most of us are kind of just normal guys. Now, we're definitely people that are more risk, okay. And we're
like to take risks.
I would say that we're adrenaline junkies.
Yeah, but like where I'm going with it is that most of us are normal guys. The biggest question I always get is, are you ever afraid, right? And to me, it always sounds like such a stupid question because I'm like, yeah, like, of course I'm afraid. But you do run into those people that aren't. And it's a rarity, but we know a few guys from
Right.
Ukraine, a few
Right.
guys from Russia that
They just
if they're
go.
scared, they don't show it, and they do some of the most gnarly stuff, not even successfully, just terribly, just smashing.
But they'll go back up and do it again.
So my question is, do you think it's more badass to be freaking petrified and still always have that confidence to turn your skis and do it? Or do you think that, badassness lies in not being afraid? I always felt for myself that being afraid and being able to overcome that, not just once, not just twice, but every day of your life is the most badass thing that you can possibly do.
Well, personally, I think those people that aren't scared are psychopaths, to be completely honest. But yeah, like you said, overcoming that fear every single day when you're up there training, there's a certain type of courage that's admirable.
I mean, that's what makes it so gratifying. That's what, I mean, for me anyways, like when I'm scared up there and I like take my big deep breath and turn my skis and go, everything just stops, right? And then you hit the kicker, you land it, and then you just like the rush of just pure joy and like.
And just like, just the pure joy of feeling of survival. And
Really?
if you can execute on top of that, like, it feels so good.
Yeah, when you hit that takeoff and then you hit those drops and then you do everything perfectly in there, you pick the right range,
Yep.
You're coming in, you see that landing, you're right
You
there.
know you're gonna
You
stay.
come to that until, boom, 3-0. There's no better feeling in the world.
And you remember how you felt 12 seconds earlier as you were putting your arm up and your coach like, yep, go, dude.
Well,
go
and
for
all
it.
jumps are not created equal. Like,
No, definitely not.
Sometimes it's even hard to quantify what is torquing you up about a certain day. Maybe you didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe you just, honestly, I've had this one. I mean, when you're standing up at the top of Indoor and looking at that massive jump, maybe you just feel a little dizzy. But you're waiting for your coach to clear you. And our job as athletes is when that hand goes up and those coaches tell us to go, our job is no matter whether we're feeling dizzy, not good, want to puke, feeling confident. Well, that one's good, but rare.
Yeah.
We got to turn our skis. The one feeling, though, that I have always enjoyed in aerials is that, I don't know about it for you guys, but no matter how scared I am before I go, the second the feet turn,
It's gone. It's over. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would say with all of my first jumps, first double, first triple, any new tricks that I'm doing, the hardest part is when that hand goes is the hop turn. Once you're in the gate going down, you're like, I know how to do this.
I don't know if that's
well, and
something.
I would even say right before you go in the gate, because like,
That's when I start to stress out.
Well, 'cause,
is when
like,
it's my
no
turn
turning
and I
back.
start to hop in, because I know once I hop into that gate, it's my turn. I'm going, and I'm going to do the trick that I said I was going to do, right? So
I feel like all of us are kind of like that, where no matter what happens in the in run, barring like a massive headwind where you know you're not going to make it off the jump, we are not backing out. We are going to do the trick that we set out to do. It might not go exactly how we planned.
I don't have that in me. Like I have, there's the fear, there's the stress. So I have to convince myself that this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to execute it. I'm going to be fine. It's going to be good. I'm going to nail this.
But also resign to your own fate, whatever happens.
Whatever happens. You guys both think that once you back out or bail out of a jump,
it becomes easier to do? It
becomes easier and you build that tendency to maybe back out when you maybe shouldn't?
I would tend to agree with that because that was kind of what I was going to say is like, do you think the fact that as soon as we turn our skis, we're locked in and we go is because we're so used to what we do on the water ramp in all summer where you cannot turn out on the water ramp. Once you jump turn, you are going. So for me, it's almost like that's just the way it's done. Like once you're lining into the jump, you can't do anything but hit that jump.
Well, and I feel like it's like kind of like breaking the seal a little bit where if you did turn out, if I did turn out once. Now, I've seen athletes that have turned out of jumps for good reason, right? I've never done it.
No way. Last year at World Champs, typically we hit the jump at 65 kilometers an hour. He came into that jump at 50 something. Like, no, it was mid 50s, low to mid 50s, which you're not gonna make it.
That's double speed. You're doing a double at that speed, 2 backflips.
So it's like at that point, like it was a good turnout. Like, but it was good that he did that.
I've never done it, and I mean the only people that I've seen do it and do it when it was like, I was like, yep, that was probably the good call, is all people that have been doing this for a long time and have like a lot of experience built up, and they just know, right? Like. But then again, like, once you make that call, I don't want to be doubting myself on the way down. Like, how hard is it to not make that call?
The only thing I know when I hop turn is that I'm going to go off the jump. You know, so it's like you break that seal, that's a whole new thing.
And also,
I don't want to have to worry about that.
On top of turning out, when we set off to do a trick and get off that jump, all three of us always try and do the trick that we set out to do, almost no matter what. You can miss the takeoff. You know, takeoff might not go your way. You might have buckled, but you're still, if you're doing full, double, full, 1, 2, 1 for the listeners, and you don't hit that takeoff and you're a little small and in a ball, you're still going to rip that double full and then come out of it.
Lose the ground for a second. Try to,
or just never see it in the first place and just be, you know, I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
Yeah, like, does that happen for you guys a lot where you're just like relying on instinct and then
and like World Champs last year, Georgia, it was super tricky conditions, snowing,
super warm,
jump was it was like windy. Snow. It was fresh snow.
True. It was warm snow though. That sticky.
That kicker that's hard.
So the bottom of the jump, you had to be so far back. I remember telling Toph at the radioing up and be like, Toph, you got to be so far back.
Way more than you think.
Yeah, way more than you think. I watched everyone, but everyone except I think 2 people in that round buckled. It was a Ukraine jumper that did a full straight, and I think Toph. Everyone else in that round buckled, and I was doing a daddy full, double, full. Buckled the living crap out of this thing and did it in a ball, but there was not a second in my mind where I was like, I'm not doing the trick that I set out to. I'm not going to DNF. Like, not going to happen. In World Champs, not going to happen. So
I'll take the hit before getting a no score.
And it worked out where I did it in a ball, came around, stuck it, and in those scenarios, I feel like you got to make the best of those jumps because you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the round.
Yeah, it's a tough day, right?
And I really was not happy with my jump, but I ended up making it into the next round and then
get another shot,
and ended up getting silver in that competition, which I didn't think with that jump. You didn't think
it set out like that after that first kick.
So in my mindset, when I set out to do a trick and when I get off the jump, I'm doing that trick.
Yeah.
Well, and Lewis, your guys got a bunch of podiums. Quinn, you just got your first 2 last year and hopefully much more to come. You know, I think you and I are pretty close on the podium count, but they never happen the way you think they're going to happen. I mean, it's almost like, you know, no plan, you know, withstands contact with the enemy. You get in there and you got a plan for the day. You've got this way that it's supposed to happen.
You think it's going to be perfect in your head.
And even my very best events, it never goes the way I think it's going to go. Maybe the training was way off.
Yep.
Maybe I got away with a less than perfect jump earlier in the competition that I would have thought
wouldn't make me go through.
Would have cashed me out. And so I think that, Quinn, that was like a great point where it's like you got to stick with it all the way through. Make the most out of every opportunity, because if you can even get that one more point or that little bit higher score, maybe that's the difference.
Sometimes that's all that you need, right? And our sport, every round is a new round. You don't carry points over from the round before. So training doesn't count. The round before is over. So it's what can you do right here, right now.
I love that part of the sport. Honestly, even before the heats, we used to do an old format that was 2 jump combined. So we did carry points over, and that was even more you have to land on your feet. No room for error. Now, this new format that we've been doing for the last, and it's not new, we've been doing it for 7 or 8 years now, but it's one jump. Everyone is this own snapshot, and it's just like, can you put it down? And the wind conditions, the weather conditions, they can all change from round to round. So maybe one round maybe the toughest round of the whole competition is the very first one. And then things clear up, and it's like making it through that fire maybe is all you need to be on the podium.
You guys ever get people that ask you, they're like, oh, how many jumps do you get? And you're like, I get one chance. Yep. And they're like, you get one shot in the World Cup, and if you mess that up, you're done for the day.
You wait for the next one.
And people
don't understand that, and that's crazy, right? Because our sport happens so quick. Most of it is based off our takeoff. And what are we in the jump for? A third of a second, maybe. So
in the actual
kicker.
Oh, yeah.
So and that's what your entire trick is based out of. So if you mess that up, it's going to be really hard. Bar, like you said, there's chances that you move on anyways, but you're making it a lot harder on yourself as soon as you mess up one minute little thing, right?
Well, and one thing I think would be cool to just anybody who's listening to this, to put it out there is so we just flew to Finland. Lewis flying from Quebec, us flying from the States. We flew to Finland. We're going to be here for a month, training every day almost, very minimal days off because of how short it is. For 7 seconds in Ruka. And then if we miss that 7 seconds, we're flying to China just to get another shot at another 7 seconds.
So technically it's 9 seconds if you hit all 3 rounds because it's 3 seconds per jump, I thought.
No, I'd say it's about 7 seconds per jump. Who
knows?
No,
I'm saying in actual air time from the time that you leave that jump to the time that you hit the air is about 3 seconds. So your jump...
Your day, if you're going through a full World Cup day, your actual time spent...
Doing the
flips and twists is 9 seconds. So we'll be
if
here.
you even break it down more, the determining factor of whether you're just some guy who's trying to make it as a professional skier or the best skier in the world in each season is probably less than a minute total of total competition time.
Yep.
I've never thought about it that way. When you just put it like that, that's crazy.
And we fight out
and
for
we
it.
Love it.
We battle for it, and I mean that's why I've heard both of you say it. I'm sure I'll hear it again. This sport is the highest highs and the lowest lows, right? You just
things just get taken from you sometimes. I think that's
yes, they do, Toph. Man, you're preaching to the choir.
Your body gets taken from you. Sometimes, if you're going through a funk and you're in the meat of the season right there, and let's say you got 45 seconds of your whole minute of competing over the season in a 2-week span, and you're off.
It's a tough time to be off.
Things get taken from you, and your ranking gets taken from you, your funding gets taken from you, your ability to make money and support yourself and support people you care about gets taken from you. And so that kind of pressure, it's so much more than just the visceral fear of jumping and competing. It's if I can't go perform, and athletes in smaller sports, I think that we deal with this all the time. If we can't perform, what little money we do make, what little accolades we do have, they'll take that right away too.
Yep. Yeah, your ability to live how you would want to live could be taken away from you just like that.
Yeah, and I mean at the end of the day, we train, we compete with a team, right? We're all I have my team. We're bringing 17 people here.
That's insane.
So
Canada's crazy
growing so
big
much. Squad. But at the end of the day, it's an individual sport. So yeah, I want I'm trying to have my teammates do good, and I love when they do.
At the end of the day,
I'm still trying to beat them, and they're trying to beat me, and that's the nature of our sport, and it's just the way it is. So,
but also the camaraderie that builds out of that stress is huge too, because
like you said with Victor,
exactly,
they know you. as well as your brothers,
Yep.
your sisters, your mom, your dad.
Oh,
You're
they're
around
family.
them all
They
the
are
time.
family.
Exactly. And they, in those tough times or those times where you're not 100% sure on
Yep.
your ability or whatever, they know what to say because they're around you.
I mean,
day
the
in,
same
day out.
way they will piss you off every now and then. It's family. They're like a brother, so they'll be there when you need it, and when you don't need it, they'll probably piss you off a little, and that's fine, like.
Well, and I feel this on my team. I'm not an old guy, but I'm 25 now. But just the sport and all freestyle, and really any skiing sport, they're just getting younger and younger and younger and younger. So I guess I am a more veteran athlete these days.
And these kids are getting better and better, younger and younger too.
But you kind of take on that leadership role within your team,
For sure.
right? Where
For sure.
I've seen that with your team so much. These kids rely on you to teach them how to act, to teach them how to deal with that, right? Because we just talked about all the pressure we're under, right? Some of these younger kids hitting the tour 17 years old, they're just getting their first taste of that kind of pressure.
And even then, that first year on tour, you don't even have that pressure, right? You're new. No one knows you. No one knows what you do. You're just going out there, enjoying yourself, doing your thing. And I mean, for me and for a lot of people that I've noticed over the span of my career is like, you don't feel that expectation and you don't put that amount of pressure on yourself until usually that second year or until you've done something already. Where you're
Quinn's
like,
getting his first
wait.
year of pressure this year.
Yeah,
I think it's important to say.
I do feel like when you step up from that NORAM level to that World Cup, there is that internal pressure. Maybe not external from your coaches and other athletes that expect you to do good, but I know that all athletes on this tour are uber competitive and they expect the best out of themselves.
Right.
And there is that always internal pressure, but when you do get a result, you're expected to back that up again and again.
Well,
and
that's
again.
the thing. Like, you're putting this pressure on yourself, yet you've done nothing yet. And then as soon as you do something, then that pressure you're putting on yourself just increases.
Starts coming from other people.
Yeah,
multiplies tenfold.
exactly. And it doesn't just be like, oh, I was aiming for this, I did it, cool. Now you guys can tell me what to do. You're still like, oh wait, I did it. Now I'm gonna go do it again, right? Like,
And I'm definitely feeling that this year with getting some results and feeling like I got to do this and this and this every single competition, or that's a letdown. Like,
and it's hard to not spiral into these things, right? To kind of stay, like, I don't know for what you guys are at yet, but like I know for me, I'm still gonna be doing singles for a little while, slowly build up to it. Yet I know I want to put myself in a position where I can podium at this event. Yet I still got to make sure I'm doing it like at a reasonable pace and like building up to it. So it's like,
well, and this time of the season, days off just become less and less peaceful. You know, you're having that day off. You're like, my body needs it. I can't jump. My knees swollen. My back hurts. My everything hurts. I need just a day, just one day off. And you know your body needs it, but your mind is like,
what are we doing?
We're running out of time. We're running out of time. We got to get
6
after
days?
it. Yeah, 6 days.
let me ask you guys.
that.
So, Chris and I just finished our 4th day of jumping. You
Right.
just finished your second day.
day, yeah.
How we feeling, boys?
Physically, I feel like crap.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I'm an old ass man right now. Like, I feel like I was on a plane for 27 hours, showed up, started jumping, and now I'm like, can't wait for my PT to get here and start putting some work on my body.
Well, and it's hilarious because I always think about this when we're watching football. Big, all of us big football fans. Quinn, you're a huge Bengals fan. The tough loss last night.
Tough these days.
Do not get
Are
me
we going?
started. No,
Okay,
do not.
okay.
No.
We're sidetracking them. But the way I was going into professional sports, our sport does not have an injury report. So I am as injured as I say I am before an event. Now, that can be taken, one exception to that rule would be head injuries. That is one thing that people really pay attention to these
and
days.
take seriously.
You might get yourself pulled or someone's going to pull you. So, it's hard to get away with a head injury. Someone sees you hit your head. But outside of that, Chris has a pulled quad today. Chris has a broken rib today. Chris is dealing with that himself.
Yep. And like, I've had that conversation with my coach many times where I'm like, if I don't talk to you about something, it's fine. Don't talk to me about it until I bring it up. It doesn't exist. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't matter. It's not part of what we're dealing with. And if
Don't
you
take
really
that into consideration.
don't take
in the
it
jump
exactly.
Plan, like
exactly.
treat me as if I'm 100%.
Yep. And once
Unless
we're
said
done,
otherwise.
then we can discuss and we rework or whatever. But once we show up to the hill and you have a plan, we are executing said plan.
And I've watched all three people at this table spit up blood while competing. And for people at home, coughing up blood is scary and it doesn't taste very good, but it's actually not as bad as some of the other as it looks.
Like,
you know, if you smack your chest and you close those lungs super quick, the capillaries in your lungs burst and you're going to get some red stuff when you're coming out. But that just, you know, those are those cool moments where you watch somebody, they got their 7 seconds to go show their stuff, and right before they go, boom, big blotch of red blood.
put their hand up. Yes, please let me have another. That's what
Thank
it
you,
is.
sir. May I have another?
Yep.
So that's a fun part of the sport. So if we're going into your team, like you guys said you got 17 athletes. We know most of them. The cool thing about Canada right now is you guys are pumping out athletes. Like I'm still learning people's names. I'm still getting to know people, which is fun. But who are you looking at from your team this season that's really going to step up? As a rookie, you know, I'm not talking maybe be best in the world or whatever, but who's going to have that step-up season, kind of like a Quinn did last year for your team, and show their stuff?
Well, so I mean, this year, out of the 6 guys we have, or the 5 guys, sorry, competing on the World Cup tour, all of us have already done it, except one, Victor. He's the only one who hasn't done like a full World Cup tour yet, and he had a great summer. I'm sure he's going to do really well. Beautiful jumper.
He's very pretty. You know, it's always the mixture. You see young guys up, and some of them are just the wicked twisters, and some of them are all form.
Everyone's got their
guy.
thing, and he's definitely a form guy. So I think, he'll have a good season. Definitely see him in finals, super finals every now and then. And then obviously we have Alex, who came off 2 4th places last year, so you know he's hungry for more. He put in a lot of work this summer. And then we got the 2 guys that I was at the Olympics with, Emil and Mia, who are absolute dogs when it comes to doing aerials.
Well, they are talented as talent goes. And, you know, you're the supportive older teammate, but I know those guys are going to be listening in on this episode. So one thing I want to say is I want to see that killer instinct out of those two.
Right.
They are so talented.
They are so
talented.
good.
And I want to see that killer instinct come out, because the one thing I saw from it's like, man, if I was your age, when I was your age, if I was that good and that talented, I would have been ripping, because we were terrible. We were so bad.
And we were ripping.
Yeah, we're just trying and
trying
crashing.
to get good. And I mean, I think that's something that you really came out with last year, just that mentality of I don't care that you guys have been doing this for years, have ranked bibs, have put multiple medals and all this. I will beat you. You like that, and I respect that. That's the mentality you need.
I remember the moment that my mindset flipped last year. I remember the exact moment. It was in Canada, super finals. Both of you boys were up there with me. And I was looking around. It was you,
No
way, Dima, and Peanut.
Gygax.
Yeah.
So
And
top 6 jumpers in the world.
I was looking
Quinn.
around. Yeah, I was looking around. I was like, I deserve to be up here. There's no reason that I can't be up here with these guys and beat them. And I did.
Yeah.
And that moment was a really...
I mean, dude, you did the best jump of that round.
And that
hands
moment
down.
waterfalled into the rest of the season, where it's like, you guys ain't got nothing on me.
Right.
I'm going to come in. I'm going to do my jump. You guys are going to deal with it.
Yep.
And good luck.
Yep. And that's what I'm hoping for my boys this winter, you know? I want them to have that breakout season and really, guys, you guys are good. You guys can all,
that's what we see.
You guys could all be, Team Canada could all be ranked in the top 10.
Well, and
So
that
I think what they need to tap into is that dog inside, where it's like, I'm going to go do this. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I'm going to go rip this jump. I'm going to go stick it.
I'm going to go step on your throat and shake your hand after.
Exactly.
See, but the one thing that I really when the young dogs come up, because this is going to be for more Lewis and I, right? You go through the years, right? And then you have that ascendance where you come up as a rookie, and then you have that mental switch like Quinn's talking about, where you're like, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be here with the best in the world. And I remember those moments for myself, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when I really made that switch to even really thinking of myself in that category with the best in the world. But then you get there, right? And then once you get there, you got a bunch of young bucks up there that are just trying to pull you off.
They're nipping at you.
They're nipping at you, and they're telling you about how they got it, and they're telling you about how easy it's going for them. And I don't know, for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But just so you know, you guys are gonna have to drag me clawing, kicking, and screaming off the top of this podium. So, any time in my career that I've left a gap for somebody to come up and take it, they have. That's just the nature of athletics.
That's what it is.
That's what sports is. That's what makes it so gratifying and so cool. But when you're looking down, you're like, all right, I'm not giving you that gap. You're going to have to wait. You just make them wait. You're like, nope, not this year. Not this year.
Yeah.
Keep waiting. And the longer you can have that mentality where you're just like, hey, I think you're amazing. I love watching these younger jumpers jump. I'm so impressed with some
I
of
love
them.
training with you guys.
With that being said, fuck yourself. No podiums for you, only for me.
I feel like you guys did that. It really showed in St. Moritz. Like, we had some younger guys in super finals that were throwing some quad twisting triple backflips, and then the three big vets in there went up through quint twisting triple backflips, executed, and all three of those guys were on the podium. They didn't leave no gap for us,
and there was no room. There was no room for the little.
We took it all.
But that's the best part of sports, because the very next week there might be room. Yep. And then if you leave that room, even in that St. Moritz competition, 4th place was a nice quad twisting triple.
Oh yeah.
5th place, another nice quad twisting triple. So if any of us mess up or don't execute in that moment, some young bucks are going to take that spot.
That gap is there, and someone's jumping in it.
So I think that was a great competition, and I got 3rd place in that, and I did one of top 4 jumps in my entire career. So those ones are always hard to eat. Let's talk about that, because in our sport, I feel like that's something that's really becoming more and more prevalent. 8 years ago, if you were to throw a quint twisting triple backflip
and land,
which, for a reference point for free skiing, that's one more twist than has been done on skis in free skiing. But if you're going to go throw a quint twist and you land it, you're done. You win. No way, 2 people are going to land it.
4 years ago,
Nowadays, it's got to be excellent. It's got to be amazing.
It's got to be perfect.
It has to be.
If it's not on the verge of being perfect, there's someone else that might take in there.
Like, you have to leave as little option as possible for those judges to deduct you. Because anything other than that, someone will take that. What you left out on the table, someone will come get it.
Everyone's hungry at that table.
And that's
being a veteran guy, and I feel like you, myself, some of No Way, Pyramid, some of these guys, we trailblazed some of these quints where
for sure,
for a long time before we came onto the scene, they were done, but they were done sporadically. They were done only in big events, maybe by those super veteran athletes that had the ability at the time. And then, some of us young bucks got up there and we started doing them really consistently, doing them in training, frequently. And now these younger group of athletes come up and they're like, oh, people do quints all the time. Well, and I'm like burned. I'm like, no, I trailblazed that for you guys.
Yeah. But that's another thing too. Like, mentally, I grew up watching very little people do 5 twists. So for me, watching the World Cup, people were doing quads to win the thing. So watching that, you're like, oh, quads are the hard trick. Like, this is what is hard. And now these kids, they get to move up and be like, oh no, this is still we're not there. We're not at the hard yet.
I would consider myself a generation below you guys.
Right. Yeah.
And since I've come on the scene, quad twisting is the bread and butter of all the competition.
Yeah. It's your meat and potatoes of the competition.
But when you get into that super finals, if you don't have a quint nowadays and you're looking around, you're like, I don't know if a quad is gonna do it nowadays. And 4 years ago,
it's not guaranteed anymore.
Yeah, 4 years ago, that was not the case. You could go in, lay down a nasty double in, nasty daddy, nasty double down, any quad twist.
Even double down, that's not something that people have been ripping as much as it is now. We've done it so much, and the new generation coming through has had the chance to watch so mmany people do so many different variations of what, when I was growing up, was considered to be the hardest tricks, that these guys are they're just in it, right?
Like it's just normal to us now, where it's
to build up to that.
Exactly, like
kind of that old adage, like if you threw a person into boiling water, it would absolutely burn you, and but if you sat in cold water and just slowly turn the temperature up over a slow period, you're not going to notice.
You'll build up to it.
And so I hope that wasn't really a reference that we're all slowly cooking ourselves alive, but that might be what it is, where it's like, these young guys come up, they see it, they can visualize it, they see it, and now we got kids like Alec, one of your teammates, who's doing a quint twist on the water ramp before he's done a triple backflip on snow.
Which is crazy.
Took me 6 years to even try one on the water ramp, and I'm doing triples on snow. And
I had been doing quads on snow for multiple years before thinking about doing 5 twists on the water ramp. So it's just crazy how the progression that these kids are on.
But with that being said, nowadays all the kids are seeing this and they know that is the bar that's set. They know that is what they have to get to, and
that's
they're
where
trying
the line
to get to it faster. So it's just a different game than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So
I mean, we can only be happy about that, right? Our sports progression.
Yeah, I guess we did it to ourselves.
We did, Chris. Dude, you were competing double fulls with Zach Serdell back in the NORAM days before you had no business doing that trick, but you did for a year. Maybe
now you see every young guy comes through double.
Every kid coming through the double before moving on to the triple. They do that.
I remember
you came back and did it.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I was on the triple.
Yep.
Did make the Olympics, so I went to Junior Worlds.
Yep.
And I had never done double on snow or on water.
And just a quick pause. I like to give the reference because a lot of people are going to be more familiar with free skiing trips. A double, which is a double full, is the same amount of flips and twists as a double cork 2160. So,
yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot.
So, with that being said, I had never done that on water, never trained it, but I saw Alex and Emil ripping them and
making it look easy.
Yeah, and I was like doing the NORAM tour. I was kind of getting lit up, I'm not going to lie. And I realized I had to do that trick. So I went up to my coach. I was like, hey, I got double in. I got double down. Let's smash them together and give it a shot. And luckily, it went pretty well. I didn't land my first one, didn't land my second one, but I did land the third one. So, but that was just the mindset. It's like, this is what's being done. I need to get to this level, and if I don't, then I'm not competitive.
Right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong too, but kind of getting lit up a little bit by those boys that year, and then coming back the year after and competing triples on the full on, that probably gave you a little something too, to be like, yeah, see boys, you guys were making fun of me, you guys were kind of giving me shit and saying you were better and all this, and now look, what's
definitely
up?
So we've talked a lot about male aerials, but we've got some exciting girls coming on our team for the triple. You've got a very exciting female coming up. You want to talk about Marion Pinot a little bit?
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what obviously your girls and Marion are going to do, because this is going to be a crazy exciting tour. So Marion has been doing triples on water for 2 years now. She's planning on doing them this winter, hopefully before the World Cup here, and rip it for the first World Cup of the season, which is
and that's the plan
crazy.
For both of our girls as well. And when we say that's the plan, if it doesn't work out and they do it on the second World Cup of the year, this is a huge step. The plans do change occasionally, but the fact that those girls are mentally keying in on this first World Cup and they want to go do it is huge.
Yeah,
well,
and
will Marion be the first Canadian female to ever do triples, or on snow?
Doing well.
So when was it that you're gonna have to reach back in your mind? When was the last time? Because for our girls, the last time we sent a girl to do their first triples was Ashley Caldwell in 2013.
I'm going to say that the last time a Canadian girl has done a triple would be 2008 or 2009. But that'd be my guess.
Yeah, because I don't think Sab did them. She tried to on water, but then I don't think she actually did it. So, yeah, Marion is, and she has only been jumping for 5 years now?
But she's about as acrobatically talented as they come.
Yeah. I watched her all summer And like obviously coming back from my injury a little bit, like I kind of had the opportunity to at the water ramp comp we did in Park City, like we were competing the same trick, right? So I kind of had set a goal to be like, all right, let me not get beat by this girl today. And she did. She kicked my ass. She did a beautiful lay double full, triple twisting, triple backflip, and deserved every single point she got. And I'm just like, I cannot wait to see you perform this on snow, because I've watched a lot of people do triples on water and be like, I'm taking these to snow. And I was like, yeah, oh, good luck, buddy. We'll see how it
Please
goes.
don't do that.
Please, yeah. Whereas Marion, I am excited to watch her. I will not turn away from her first one. I will be watching the whole thing. And if anyone wants to put some money down, we could bet on the first one.
Well, and there's so many times
Bet
that
on landing the first one?
Yeah, we can do it.
I'm not going to take that
I'll put
bet.
some money with you. Come on now. All right.
I ain't
All right, we're
gonna
gonna have
take
to
that bet,
discuss
'cause I
the
believe
amount
her,
off
too.
air, but we'll discuss the amount off air. But I think that we could definitely make a little wager
Little
on the
wager?
first triples of the year. But you got to take Winter Vanecki, Kayla Kuhn going for their first ones.
Yeah.
I got both of them to stick it. I really do.
See?
These girls put the work in.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
That's the
right?
difference.
They didn't come at it being like, oh, well, I'm going to mostly do double backflips. I'm mostly going to keep it simple, keep it easy, and then occasionally ramp it up for the triple. They grinded it. They did it the way we do it. They trained it
That's
way.
all they did all summer.
And a lot of times in this sport, the women do get the short end of the stick on the site, because the men are doing the huge tricks with the huge twists.
Yep.
Even from the coaches.
Yeah, the coaches are paid more attention to this, to that. They're want to make sure this part of the landing is chopped and all of that.
It's the nature of the beast. But these girls, if you ever, I can't wait to see the support for the men's side of the tour for these girls when they go for it. Because we're all so excited.
We're so excited. It's going to be awesome.
What do you need from us? How can we help you? How can we make this happen?
And that's the beauty of our sport, right? Like, we're excited to see this. We're excited to see them progress and do this. And we're all going to be in on making sure that they do it successfully. Like, whatever we can do to help them,
pump them up,
we will do that. Whether
Most definitely.
The pep talk, like going to chop the hill to help the coaches.
The other day,
if you need a slip before, if you want a speed check, like
the other
anything.
day, when they was talking to me about choice of music and stuff, and I was talking about how
you were being a complete asshole about
it. Hey. I said that most of the time up there, don't tell me what to play. This is our jump. But when it comes to them getting off the triple for those first times, and whatever you want. So I know that all of us are supporting them in whichever way possible. And
it's because we want to see it, and we want to see it go well, because we want more girls to follow in those footsteps. The same way that we were just talking about those young guys looking up to us and different tricks and seeing that different level, and then therefore pushing themselves to that level. We want the young girls of this sport to look up to these girls,
that are executing it, doing it great, and be like, this is what I'm going to. Like, we don't want young girls to be looking at it and be like, I'm going to stop at doubles and this is my career. No, you push to the max. Like, come feel what a triple is. Come enjoy this feeling with, like, and embrace it. It's awesome.
The difference between the double and triple, it is massive. That extra 10 kilometers,
15 miles an hour.
Yeah. that extra little bit, which is not so little, it's massive. And it makes it so much more rewarding.
Yep.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but doubles, we get them off. It warm yourself back up.
They're fun, but at the end of the day, like
I'm up there to hit that big jump. And
I'm
excited for them to get that taste of it.
I mean, dude, I know I'm probably not gonna hit it for another
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days ish. I speed checked it yesterday. I just stood at the top and skied down from the top as fast as possible just to see what that kicker looks like coming into the basket.
I'll be on a different jump, and I'll just be looking at the triple out of the corner of my eye and be like, "You dirty girl."
I want you.
Yeah, for real, like. Because I know that's what's going to make me feel the best out there.
All right, so leading in to the rest of the camp, we're all going for big triples and stuff. Kind of give us your game plan for these next few weeks leading up to the World Cup.
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be a little different than other years where I just kind of – the last couple of years I just started on double. didn't even do singles, so that already is a little different. And then my plan is not even to do any quints this year. Just double in, full double, full. 2 different variations of quad twisting triples, tricks that I've done for 6 years now on snow, so pretty comfortable. But again, that being said, like I'm just trying to slowly take it day by day, see how the body feels, see how the leg reacts, because like we said, like there's still a Meteoroid in here, right? So
and I feel like for you, like we got 2.5 years till the next Olympics. We're in a little bit of an off year. We do have a crystal globe, but we don't have a world championships this year. We're only every 2 years for that, so that'll be next year. You know, as your friend, as your fellow competitor, I want to see you put that healthy season together.
Yeah,
and just stay healthy. And I think that's got to be one of your biggest
goals.
That's
definitely the biggest goal, is just trying to. And I know, like for me, with how consistent I've been in the past and how like the confidence and that I have in my jumping, I know that if I make it, when I compete at every single World Cup and every event, the odds of me ending up in the top 5 of that World Cup tour are pretty high.
I'd say top 10 is certainty and top 5 pretty likely.
Yeah, if I don't finish in the top 10, I'm going to be very
well, because it's easy to focus on those quints, but the real meat and the potatoes of the season is that qualification round, that finals round.
Right.
And those are quad twisting triples.
Right.
But like we said earlier, if you can't make it through those rounds, you don't even get to do your quint. You know, there's been so many competitions. Oh, so many sounds bad, but there's been a lot of competitions where I had a quint ready to go in the bag,
and you don't get
and
to
I
pull
didn't
it.
execute well enough to even put that out there for people.
Let me ask you guys. We have 3 rounds of jumping, qualifications, finals 1 and finals 2, which we call super finals. What round makes you guys the most nervous?
For me, by far, the qualification round.
Same here.
Once I'm done with that jump, I just feel like, and every time I get to the radio, I look at I grab it and I say, Jeff, we got a ticket to the dance. And that's all I really care about at that point, because once I'm in that top 12, then it's go time. Then we rip, then we go, then it's like showtime, let's do it.
Well, and your blood gets up. I mean, it's kind of, I would say qualities makes me the most nervous for sure. But
it's kind of crazy to think about.
I don't want my day to be done.
Exactly.
7 seconds, one jump, and it's almost just as hard as the last jump you got to do too.
But
as far as execution standpoint.
A lot of people would think that super finals would be the
podium
most,
jump.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone would think that is the most nerve-wracking, and it's like,
come on, man, I'm already getting paid by that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, but people are like, oh, you could be first or second. It's like, well, no, I'm more worried about making it to the show and making it to that point.
Exactly.
Like, I always know that when I land a qualifications jump and I know I'm going to be in, I'm like, all right, boys, I got a ticket to the show. Let's go.
And I think talking about it now just kind of made me think about it. Like, our sport isn't that mediatized, right? Like, we don't get that much visibility. Most of it, or almost all of it, is only the final and super final jump. So, like, for us, we're out here in Finland. If you do that qualies and mess up, well, your parents, your family, your friends, they're waking up at like 4 a.m.
and they don't even get
even get to watch you. You're not even there. You're not doing it. So like that's definitely I try to block it out.
You gotta put it out of your head, but at the end of the day,
it exists, right? Like it's a thing.
That's just how it goes. So I think this was a great conversation, and I think we're gonna have to have you back on in mid-season to talk about how it's been going, how that leg's going, and just get into it. The next guest that we're hoping to have on this is the #1 jumper in the world, Noe Roth. We want to get that guy on there and talk to him and just kind of pick his brain, because we just talked about being a dog and being a thug and being all those stuff. And Noe is all of those things on the air side, but he is one of the sweetest and nicest people you'll ever meet outside of that. So I think it'd be super interesting. Even I've never really sat down with him and picked his brain.
I mean, I know we do things very similarly when it comes to like getting ready, training, off season, everything. Yeah, like all that. Whereas I know for a fact that he does things very differently than we do.
Mm-hmm. And the whole Swiss team does. They're very, very talented athlete. You see Switzerland's made huge gains in all skiing sports.
Yep.
Aerials is no different. It might be even one of their best sports.
And they went from nothing. Like the generation before that, like that crew they had before these guys.
They had no good role models really to look up for.
Exactly.
I don't want to say no good because
No.
They're still
but
good
not
jumpers
at
that
the
jump well.
level that we're talking about. Not at the best in the world. No way just won
At
his
top
second. He'll be putting
five,
that
yeah.
gold bib on. He just won his second World Cup overall tour last year. And I love the guy. I hate him because he beats me sometimes. And Quinn, myself, we're all trying to take it from him, right? But we're also very good buddies, so I'd love to pick his brain, and that'll be hopefully our next episode right before the Ruka World Cup. Get there, pick his brain, and see how he's doing. But thanks so much for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, this was a great
awesome.
talk.
It felt good to talk about this.
Yeah, for sure. Peace out.